Hey, this is Craig Inzana, and today I want to talk about how to build relationships that last. First of all, I want to start by saying I don't just mean romantic relationships. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about how I've built a really strong romantic relationship that has lasted. But these same general principles can also be applied to friendships and business partners. I think that I'm qualified to talk about this because I get this question from friends and family a lot about how it is that my girlfriend Rachel and I are so happy together and how we're so reasonable with each other. A lot of people are like, oh, you really found a keeper. And I have. Rachel is awesome. But that doesn't mean we just magically hooked up and it was like, oh, look, there's nothing wrong. We've worked towards building the strength of the relationship that we have. We're going on 4 years now, and we've had our ups and downs, but we've generally maintained a pretty solid, happy relationship the whole time, and it just keeps getting better. And I think the interesting thing that I've noticed after having a lot of failed relationships before her, I learned from my mistakes in those relationships, and once I started to accept that the reason those relationships failed weren't all my fault, but a lot of the things that went wrong in those relationships were my fault. And a huge portion of a strong relationship is you or me, you know? It's both of you, and it's not, I don't think it's 50-50 either. I think it can very much be 75-35 or 80-20. One person might be ready for a relationship more than the other person, so you might need to put work into yourself to have a good relationship. And I don't think this necessarily means you have to have perfect self-awareness and be perfectly in love with yourself before you can love someone else. That's the age-old quote of you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else. There's some truth to that, but I think you can learn with somebody. So a good, honest relationship starts with you. That's the big thing that I'm going to start this out by. The second thing I want to talk about is being honest with the other person from the very start. From day one, be totally forward with that person. Relationships, and this means friendships and romantic relationships, are built on trust. I think the reason a lot of people ask me, or kind of as they're bleeding their hearts out to me, they say, why is it that I trust you so much? Why do I feel like I can tell you these things? And it's because you can trust me. I'm not going to go blabbing about this stuff to other people, and I genuinely care about you, whoever you are. I genuinely care about you, and I show interest in people immediately, and I let them know, you know, this is what I'm good for, and this is what I'm not. I'm not a very good texter. I tell people straight up the first time, especially when I meet girls, or did meet girls, I would be like, listen, if you want someone that is going to text you back all day long, that's not me. Because I'm going to forget, and I am very, very bad at communication in that way. And that's something I've worked on, because it bothers Rachel when I don't text back for days at a time or something like that. But at the same time, she accepts that's just me. I'm not a big texter. There's all kinds of other things that go along with that. I'm a very ambitious person, and I'm never going to really have a super stable job probably, because that's just not my personality type, and that's something you want to be totally honest with your partner from day one, so that they can be honest with you, so that these things don't just pop up halfway through your relationship and you say, oh wow, we're not compatible. Also, if that does happen, accept the fact that maybe you're not compatible. Not everyone is. But also accept your partner's faults. So I say be honest from day one. Accept the fact that you are not going to be perfect. There's things that you're going to hold back. Either you don't feel like you can tell the truth about this thing, or more importantly, you don't know how to put it into words, or haven't even really realized it yet. This has happened to me and Rachel a lot, where 6 months, a year, 2 years into our relationship, we've realized something about each other, or I've realized something about myself because she's pointed it out, and we feel like the other person has been holding back. And then we eventually realize it's not that they were holding back, it's that they didn't know. Like, I a lot of times don't know how to put my feelings, whatever I'm going through right now, I don't know how to put it into words. I can put things that I recently went through into words, but whatever it is I'm struggling with now, I might need some time. And that's okay. You need to accept that the other person you're with is a person, and they're going to have faults too. But at the same time, you should never, both of you, should never just accept that, oh, we're both terrible people. You know, that's not going to work either. You're going to be constantly fighting with each other. I see this a lot. People are like, I am who I am. He is who he is. we're never going to be able to, we're just going to be like this forever. But that's why we're perfect for each other, because we're both horrible people. Or whatever. We're both liars, or we're both drinkers, or we're both whatever. You should want to grow together. A couple that grows together stays together. And that, the truth behind that is immense. I've seen this happen not just with me, but I've seen this happen with everybody that I know that has a happy, successful relationship. They have committed to being each other's partner and their accountability buddy on self-improvement, because at the end of the day, that's what so much of life is about. I know I keep going back to this on my channel about self-improvement, and that's kind of what it's becoming about, but I've realized so much that, like, so much of your life is controlled by you. You can't control all of the circumstances around you, but you can control how you react to those circumstances. And I don't care. Stop playing the victim. And this works in relationships too. Stop playing the victim. If there's something wrong in your relationship, talk it out. And if it's not going to work, move on. It's fine. Don't be afraid of being alone, because there are so many people out there looking for somebody. And if you take even a few of these steps, you are going to be a catch. I hear that a lot. You know, oh, you guys are lucky. You're both catches. And it's like, I wasn't alcoholic. I was cheating on my girlfriends. I was like doing all kinds of things. I was just a jerk. And I learned from those things, and I said, look, this is me. I am not being a good person. And even after I got over those things, I was paying too much attention to my job, and I wasn't paying enough attention to my significant other. I was a jerk. I was not being a good partner. And I learned from those things, and I realized I need to step up and I need to take action to be able to have a good relationship, because I wanted one. I don't necessarily think monogamy is the end-all thing, for me at least, but I wanted a good relationship, and I like being closely connected to another person and having a best friend with me all of the time, and that is what it all boils down to. The key things are honesty and growth together. And I think the growth together thing kind of quickly just goes into this one last thing that I want to talk about, and that is, be okay with the fact that your relationship might not be like other people's relationship. It's interesting because the two couples that we're kind of best friends with are both, one of them is a very like new age Christian couple, and they're awesome. I love those guys. They're married, and they very much believe in like the marriage, full-time job, house thing, and kids probably soon. That's fine, and that's great, and they're so happy together because they both are on that same mission together. I have another friend that they're not really like they're not married because of the religious thing, but they just feel like that's what they want to do. They want to commit to one person for the rest of their life and really stick that through. One of them has parents that are lifetime marriage, and the other one has one that was remarried, and they're together for a long time. So they have good examples of that in their life, and I think a lot of that does boil down to it. I don't necessarily believe that myself or Rachel really are naturally monogamous people. We work really well together, and right now, and who knows, maybe for the rest of our life, we will work really well together. But if that ever stops working, neither one of us want to be tied together in a way that we can't step back and say, hey, we need to see other people. That's going to be totally okay. Maybe our growth at that time needs to be part of that. So I think marriage for us is not on the table. And we tell everybody that. We're not shy about it. We say, look, it's fine that you're married, and I love that you can stick to that, and I love that like that's part of your culture and that's part of your value system. That's not part of mine, and that's okay. We can still be best friends, and love manifests in so many different ways. And this can be the same thing this is how you can really be friends with like same-sex couples if you're not that, or people that are into like things that you might think are weird, or swingers or whatever, like, or polygamists. You know, we had a couple in Austin, Texas that were just like complete polygamists. I don't know how you really classify them, because they were together, monogamously together, but then they would sleep with other people, and they were so happy with that. And that's the thing, just be happy, and be happy with your significant other, and you will have a strong relationship. Commit to honesty and growth together, and you will have a happy relationship. I hope this helps you a little bit if you were struggling with this at all. Whatever your goals are in relationship, good for you. Go after those things, and make sure to realize that with everything in life, and including your relationships, so much of it boils down to, what are you doing? Work on yourself, and everything else will come. Have a good day. I hope this was useful. This was Craig. I'll see you next time.